This is Brother John. And so I don't do reaction videos really. I think I've only done one in my entire life. And so with everything going on in Europe, and you'd have to be on a deserted island not to know that Russia invaded Ukraine a couple of days ago. So I have a video pulled up. This is, let's see, Ukraine crisis. Putin will meet hell, says former President Petro Poroshenko, who was interviewed by Sky News, it looks like. And so I'm going to look at his video and see what he has to say. I mean, it's terrible time going on right now, and in Europe, and Russia invading Ukraine, and civilians dying. But Ukraine is putting up a fight. They're fighting back, and so you always fight hardest when it's your own backyard or it's in your own house, right? So let's see what he has to say. Let's see.
72 hours is because of your assistance.
Please, wait a minute. Let's go back.
Keeping Ukraine in a top and deliver the truth about the Russian aggression in Ukraine and about how brave and heroic is Ukrainian to protect our soil, to protect our future, to protect our freedom and our democracy. We are in the center of Kiev. We are here to protect Ukraine, and the Russian position is about a little bit more than 2 kilometers from here.
2 kilometers? It's less than 2 miles.
Very difficult to explain what does it mean in the 21st century in the middle of Europe to be awakened by the Russian missile attack, by the Russian air bomb attack, when the people are shouting, and this is the civilian who is suffering a lot from the disastrous Russian aggression.
Right.
First of all, I would like to thank West for support, because this is the great demonstration that Ukrainian people are not alone. And the only scene of Ukrainian people is just, we want to be free. We want to be democratic, and we want to return back our country to the European family. And with that situation, we have a Putin who hate Ukraine and hate Ukrainian. And with that situation, he launched an aggression, and for the last 72 hours, more than 3,000 Russians were killed, more than 20 planes were hit.
Killed 3,000 Russians.
Tanks were destroyed, and more than 1,000 armed personnel carrier was destroyed. And this is the demonstration how Ukrainian army, how Ukrainian soldiers, and how Ukrainian people is absolutely cancel, break Putin's scenario of blitzkrieg. We again demonstrate that despite of the fact that we were not prepared for this aggression, Ukrainian people are definitely not accept Putin, and we make a decision that civilian members of the battalion of the territorial defense receive the weapons, and today in the Kiev, the Putin will meet hell.
Woo!
And the Russian
Putin will meet hell.
The Russian soldier who come here to kill Ukrainians will pay the big price. But so we should understand that this war is not about Ukraine. This war is about you, our dear partners, about the West, about free world, because nobody knows where tomorrow will appear Putin. And that's why your assistance, your effective contribution to the Putin's aggression is vital for us, Ukraine. We're standing 2 kilometers from the Russian troops.
So, as a former president, you personally have a weapon, you have a gun, and you are prepared to fight on the streets of Kyiv, the Russians, when that happens. Is that going to be in the next few hours, if they're only 2 kilometers away?
Right.
We already have Russian troops on this distance for more than 24 hours. And our battalion is meeting the enemy on the most difficult regions. Our soldiers participating in the freeing from Russian paratroopers Gostomel airport. We meet Russian soldiers on the entrance from the Obolon district. We now participating in the securing the governmental quarter or securing the mayor building in Kiev. And that's why this is a very responsible mission. And I'm together with my people, with the enthusiasm, with the volunteers from the Kiev who come here to protect the independence. And we're waiting the important steps from our allies, from our partners. We waiting the strengthening the sanction, and I'm very much happy that just a few minutes ago we received the information that there is no any nation in the European Union who can block introduction of the sanction to switch Russia off the SWIFT payment system. This is the way how we should make a pressure on Putin to not only to press the price, but to motivate them to stop the aggression and to withdraw Russian troops from Ukraine. We are waiting from our partners the action for blocking and arrest Russian plane in the airport of the NATO member states and EU member states, because this is an effective state. To arrest the ships in all of these ports of EU and NATO.
Wow.
To introduce the non-flying zone above Ukraine, because again,
He wants a no-fly zone above Ukraine. Okay, who's going to do that? And I think it would be great for Ukrainians, but if you shoot down a Russian plane, let's say NATO shoots down a Russian plane, that's an escalation of the violence. And so now you're giving Putin the right, if you call it right, to attack whatever nation shot down his planes. That's a major escalation, wouldn't you think? Let's see what he says.
I just want to remind you that this is a disaster to hear during the day, during the night, the air alarm evidencing that the Russian bomber player hitting the air bomb or Russian cruise missiles attacking the cities of Ukraine.
On that point, sorry to interrupt, because I'd just like to ask you about that point, about the no-fly zone.
Yeah.
If NATO brought in a no-fly zone, ultimately that could mean NATO forces shooting down Russian aircraft.
Right.
Surely that would lead to World War III.
Definitely not.
Whoa.
Because this is Ukrainian sky, and we have a full power on the based on international law, to introduce any regime on the sovereign Ukrainian territory, including our airspace.
Okay.
And with this situation,
I hear you,
just
but
prohibition for Russian plane using our airspace in a violation of the international law. We should introduce absolutely any steps who can limit the aggression, who can support Ukraine, and we would be very much happy if it would be not NATO anti-aircraft system, but the all member states to give to Ukrainian soldiers the anti-aircraft system, that we can protect our skies by ourselves. Yeah. I think this is fair.
I respect that.
Apologies. You said recently that Putin is not only mad, but he is evil as well. And you've already alluded to the fact that this may well not stop at Ukraine.
You know them by their fruit, don't you?
Does he have ambitions beyond Ukraine?
Definitely yes. And this is absolutely different understanding what's happening in Ukraine in year 2014 and what's happening in year 2022, because Putin he lives in the borders of the Warsaw Pact.
He does.
For him, the borders of Russia finishing, for example, in Dresden, when he served as a KGB agent during his KGB career. But
right.
I have a feeling that he still remains the KGB officer.
Right.
And this is his understanding of the world order.
Correct.
And world order for him is a Russian order. And no nation can feel themselves in the security if they have a Putin as his neighbor. So with this situation, that can be, I don't know, Baltic states, Poland, Romania, Bulgaria, but the real...
First of all, you mentioned Poland. Now, if he goes into Poland, that's World War III, because you have many nations, several nations, I should say, who have troops there in Poland, including the United States. So he goes into Poland, that would be a terrible, terrible mistake. Going into Ukraine is already a terrible mistake, but Poland, he would be giving the rest of the world absolute freedom to annihilate Russia. That's what he would be doing.
Place for Putin is not Central and Eastern Europe. The real place for Putin is the military tribunal in Hague.
Woo.
And this should be responsibility for the dozens of thousands of Ukrainians which were killed directly
in
by
Crimea.
Putin order.
Yeah, in Crimea. When he took Crimea, 14,000 people died in Crimea when he took that in 2014. So he's saying Putin should be facing war crimes in Hague at a military tribunal for all the war crimes he's committed. Well, let's not forget what he did in Georgia, in Chechnya, Crimea, and now Ukraine. It's crazy.
And finally, are you holding a weapon now? Do you have a weapon in your hands? When do you fear that you are going to have to use it?
I don't have a weapon in my hand yet. But
Yet.
I have it with me. And
I like this guy.
do it with a great pleasure to protect Ukraine. And
Great pleasure.
We do not attack anybody.
Right?
We do not do anything who can harm any country or any territory. But definitely we do our best that to protect our future.
Right.
Because our future is a future as a member of European Union. Our future is a future as a member of NATO.
I hope so.
And definitely we should use any opportunity.
Now, he said member of NATO. Now, listen. NATO could have accepted their application already. NATO did not do that. And in quiet circles, from what I'm hearing, is they don't want Ukraine in NATO because, well, they didn't because they did not want to further agitate Putin and Russia. Well, that's kind of out the window. So, I mean, me personally, just me being a citizen, I would love to see Ukraine as a member of NATO. I would have liked to have seen that already, but of course, I'm just one guy with an opinion. I think they should have been in NATO, but I don't know if they'll ever become a member of NATO. I don't know. We'll see.
To protect our people, to protect our soil. I have with me this, by the way, Austrian weapons as Glock, but this is not our main strength. We think that the decisiveness of our soldiers, decisiveness of our armed forces, decisiveness of our soldiers who attack Russian tank, by the way, by the American Javelin, by the British and Swedish and Log, and significant number of the Russian tanks who were destroyed during the last 72 hours is because of your assistance. Please increase yours.
He said the American Javelin. You're welcome. The Javelin is a very nice in terms of effectiveness, very effective weapon. Yes, indeed.
Assistance. Please, we need the protection armored jacket, we need the helmet, we need the anti-tank, we need anti-aircraft. We just need to increase our defensive capability to stop the crazy aggressor in Europe.
How worried are you about bloodshed? How worried are you about those civilians who are right now? We have footage of civilians in Ukraine building Molotov cocktails, getting ready to fight, people with no training or very little training, prepared to do what it takes. This is going to be horrific, isn't it, for the civilian population of Ukraine?
No. Look, because we live in this condition for already 8 years. We have
Facts.
a war, not a frozen conflict, but the hot war we have.
That's right.
And the Ukrainian peasant pays an enormous price. We know who is the Russian aggressor. Putin said that in Ukraine the people will meet Russian soldiers with the flowers. And preparing the Molotov cocktail. This is the flowers for Putin.
Okay.
And definitely, this is our soil. This is our country.
Facts.
This is our people.
All right.
And Putin has nothing to do here.
Nothing.
Get out from Ukraine, Mr. Putin.
We appreciate your time and we wish you the very best, former President of Ukraine, Petro Poroshenko.
Wow, he said a mouthful, didn't he? So Mr. Putin thought this was Operation Barbarossa from World War II, when the Germans were met by Russian citizens as they invaded Russia. The women and some of the men met the German troops with bread, salt, water, wine, not knowing that the Germans were coming in to kill Russians. That's Operation Barbarossa, World War II. Look it up. I studied it in school. But Mr. Putin thought they would get roses from the Ukrainians coming in as liberators, and the president here, former president, just said they got Molotov cocktails. Now, if you don't know what a Molotov cocktail is, it's basically a bottle, gasoline with rag, lighted. It's a bomb, basically. You can put other stuff in it too, but you know that's not what this channel is about, teaching folks how to make a Molotov cocktail. But I tell you what, that was a great interview. That was a great interview. This man is indicative. This man being the president is indicative, former president, of the resolve of the Ukrainian people. And see these, I guess that's his security detail standing behind him. They don't look like they play around. You know, they look like they're ready for whatever comes their way, and God bless them. I mean, Russians less than 2 miles down the street. He said 2 kilometers down the street, and they've been there for 24 hours. And I heard him, if I understood him correctly, try to pick up his accent. He said that they met the Russians at the airport. They met the airborne troopers at the airport, and they met them a couple other places, and they had skirmishes. And it's like, hey, you in Ukraine, buddy. And I like the fact that the interviewer, the reporter, asked him, you know, he basically made a statement, this is going to be terrible for the Ukrainian civilians. And the president's like, no, we've been going through this hot war, not a cold war, for 8 years. And the Ukrainian peasant, he said, has paid a horrible price fighting these Russians for 8 years, is what he alluded to. So I pray for Ukraine. I pray that the Russians will leave. But, you know, I also pray for the Russians, because I know that there are Russians who were ordered to go in who don't want to be there. Matter of fact, there was an interview of a Russian soldier who said he was only told they were going out on maneuvers. He and his group were not even made aware they were fighting Ukrainians. I mean, that's what he said. Okay? So I think by day 3, 4, which is what we're into right now, the Russians know. And so I pray for everybody over there, because everyone has a soul. I just pray for peace. I do. For everyone. Every side. And I just hope that this de-escalates. I pray it does. And I hope that it does. But what it looks like is that it's not about to de-escalate anytime soon. But we pray anyway, right? I mean, that's what we do. We pray anyway. That's what we Christians are about. We're about hope and faith and love and doing the right thing. And I just pray for peace, because I know there are Russians who are there who do not want to be there. They don't want to fight this war. And if you see what's going on in Russia right now with all the protests, with hundreds of people being arrested every day. I think yesterday they arrested 500, and the day before that they arrested 1,400, and I think the day before that it was 1,700. So, and this is going on all over Russia, not just in Moscow or some of the larger cities, but many Russians don't want this war. And even the you can see on the screen, even the Chechen Republic, I mean, they sent troops into Ukraine to support Russian troops. Anyway, wow. I pray that the Lord keeps this president safe, this former president Poroshenko, as well as the current president Zelensky. And I do just pray for peace in all of this. Anyway, I'm Brother John. Thank you for watching. Let's just keep that entire region in prayer. Let's keep all of Africa in prayer too. They have their challenges. Some of them are a lot different from this particular challenge, but they have their challenges too. And certainly pray for the peace of the Middle East. So anyway, thanks for watching. Take care, guys.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for
And please,
speaking.